Welcome to today's edition of the Rush 24/7 podcast.
What a great weekend. What an awesome weekend, folks. And we are here to review everything that happened over the weekend that's of any consequence. And we're going to give you the real lowdown about what went on in the Republican debate on Saturday night and what it really probably might mean. How's that for certitude for you? And, of course, I want to get your thoughts on some of this as well. So the telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882, and the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Boy, I tell you, this on the Democrat side, this cratering of Hillary Clinton appears to be real. I may have to rethink my original theory about this, that the DNC would never allow Bernie Sanders to become the nominee. They may not have any hope or any involvement in it. Of course, Bernie's going to go nowhere after New Hampshire, but this collapse of Hillary Clinton's is real. And Bill Clinton, this is just so great. Bill Clinton's out there. He's younger than Bernie Sanders, looks older than Bernie Sanders. Everybody in the Democrat side on this is an aged white person. Grandma, grandpa, great-grandpa, and they're all out sliming each other. And Bill Clinton has gone out there, and he has unleashed his most direct attacks on Crazy Bernie yet. And if I were Crazy Bernie, you know what I would do? It's real simple. If I were Bernie Sanders, and Bernie, you can steal this. And Bernie, I'll give an added benefit, added bonus. If you steal this, I'm not even going to tell anybody that I said this. I will not even come anywhere close to claiming credit. Bernie, you've got to do this. Not only do you have to do it, it will work, Bernie. You've got to. The next time Clinton hits you, or quote Clinton hitting you, you just say, no attack ever fed a hungry child. Or whatever matters. No attack ever helped a bedraggled union worker. Or no attack ever paid for a tax increase. Whatever you want to say, Bernie, but you've got to turn that back on old Schlickmeister. The Republican side, the Republican debate, this is fascinating. It is genuinely fascinating, and I've got a lot of analysis for you here in terms of not just analyzing what happened on stage, but analyzing the analysis after the debate. I think we are living in a remarkable time where stark contrasts are on display. And I think this disconnect that exists between politicians and elected officials in Washington for the rest of the country, I think it may also apply to media in Washington. Now, it always has, but I mean, this may be a little profound. We'll get to that in mere moments. But first, the Super Bowl. It is stunning. Here you have Beyonce. Did you happen to catch Beyonce's contribution to the halftime show? I want to give Beyonce the benefit of the doubt. After all, she's a woman. And as such, she's probably not that big a sports fan. Probably doesn't follow the NFL that closely. And when she saw that the two teams involved, she naturally thought one of them was the Black Panthers. Particularly if she happens to read Salon.com, which had a story over the weekend that we talked about. I'm sorry, it was the Huffing and Puffington Post, which claimed that the Carolina Panthers were the first NFL team to be unapologetically black. So it's understandable that Beyonce might have thought the Black Panthers were playing in the game, and hence her tribute to the Black Panthers. This has everybody up in arms. She gets a police escort to the game. They sweep everybody off the highway so she can get Super Bowl on time. She didn't have to go hours early and wait. They parted the traffic for her so she could get there with not much downtime before she had to perform. And does that routine, ripping the cops, promoting Black Lives Matter. I'll tell you, the observation is this. You have in the Super Bowl, you have the pregame, which features the anthem with a giant American flag spread out over the entire field. You have military uniformed military all over the place. You have an Air Force or Navy, not sure which, flyby after the anthem. You have the national anthem sung, and it's always sung reverentially. It's always sung with great respect. Lady Gaga with the honors yesterday. So you have the traditional pro-America, patriotic, out-of-this-world pregame show. And then you get to the halftime of the Super Bowl. And what the halftime show of the Super Bowl is, to me anyway, is representative of the cultural decay and the political decay and the social rot that is befalling our country. And you see both in contrast with each other within an hour and a half for 2 hours of each other. The pregame show is amazing how patriotic it is. The pregame show, I think, is emblematic of why the left dislikes football so much, because it is so patriotic-oriented, and it promotes patriotism and Americana in ways that are frowned upon today in many quarters of the left, such as universities and schools and graduation ceremonies, where you're not allowed to show this kind of patriotism because it's uncool or politically incorrect or what have you. And then you get to halftime, and it's an entirely different country that's on the stage. It's an entirely different portrayal, an exhibition, if you will, of American culture. Now, the Super Bowl commercials, I thought, frankly, I'm a big football fan, as you know, and yesterday was a defensive triumph for the Broncos. Exactly what I said, by the way. I know many of you probably remembering it. I thought the Panthers would win. There was always a caveat. There was a disclaimer. It said the Denver defense is going to have to win this game because the Denver offense cannot get in a shootout and keep up with the Panthers. The Denver defense won this game hands down. The Carolina Panthers hadn't seen anything like this before. And Cam Newton shows up as one of Obama's sons in the postgame show and lasts about 3 minutes mumbling through a bunch of answers and getting up and walking out. And I'm telling you right now, there's all kinds of criticism that has been aimed at Cam Newton, and it's only going to intensify. Deion Sanders, many people's minds, the conscience of the NFL. Excuse me. Deion Sanders, the conscience of the NFL, is saying, you don't do that. You do not do. You are the face of our league. You are the poster boy of our league, Camp. You do not do that. Brady wouldn't have done it. Manning wouldn't have done it. Kurt Warner wouldn't have done it. Carson Palmer wouldn't have. No other losing quarterback has ever shown up that way and walked out in a huff. And it's going to be commented upon. Plus, the fact that Cam didn't try to recover a fumble late in the game. It's not going to be pretty. But aside from that, because it's a defensive-dominated game, many people thought it was boring. And if you don't have any appreciation for defense, I mean in a fan sort of way, scheming and pursuit, the way they're able to rush the passer without blitzing. They blitzed the safeties a couple times, but they just took away every rushing lane that Cam Newton has had wide open all season long. They just bottled everything up. They did to Cam Newton yesterday, the Broncos did, what the Seattle Seahawks did to Peyton Manning 2 years ago at the Super Bowl in New York. But let me just say, Brian, you think it's a pretty boring game? Ho-hummer? You liked it. Well, what about you, Snerdley? You really liked the game. Wait a second now. You liked the game. It must have been that your team was winning is why you liked the game. All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's another thing. Snerdley said, I'm glad Peyton Manning did not have a good day. Peyton Manning had an almost identical day to John Elway 18 years ago when Elway won his first Super Bowl in San Diego against the Green Bay Packers. They were underdogs in that game. Elway was like 13 of 27 for 140 yards and an interception and no touchdowns, and Peyton was the same. There was one offensive touchdown yesterday. Peyton did not have a great Peyton Manning kind of game, but he was the winning quarterback, and that's what people remember, and everybody's happy. Peyton Manning is also a throwback in a sense. On the one hand, you had the Panthers, who are showboating and braggadocio and all this pregame and calling themselves Superman, all of this. And on the other side, you've got the Broncos, who are behaving in an entirely different way. They are not making a spectacle. They're not making wild predictions. And Peyton Manning is the poster boy of humility. Humility is a virtue. And humility won the Super Bowl yesterday. Humility won over a lot of people. I think, I'm just going to make a wild guess here, a lot of people who are happy the way the game turned out may not know why. They might say, I'm happy to see Peyton Manning get that final win on his way out of his retirement. I'm happy to see Denver win after losing 2 years. I'm happy for Pat Bowlen and his team to win since he's come down with Alzheimer's. I think there's a subconscious reason why a lot of people are happy Denver won. And Denver, in a loose way, the Broncos and the way they behave with humility as their guiding virtue, it was a triumph of good manners, solid behavior, solid citizenship over braggadocio and whatever other lack of virtue that you might think the Panthers exhibited or displayed. Not that they're bad guys, don't anybody misunderstand, but there are a number of people in the country worried about where we're heading culturally and socially, and I think there are subconscious reasons people are happy for various and certain outcomes. They may not even realize until somebody like me comes along and reminds them, and they're probably going, yeah, right on, dude, that's exactly right, that's exactly how I'm feeling. I just didn't know it till you came along, just like it was when you came along in 1988. Wade Phillips redeemed himself. Wade Phillips, a defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. What do you mean Wade Phillips redeemed himself? Well, yeah, I know, but I'm talking about fans and why I don't think there's some people, yes. I'm so happy the Broncos won. Wade Phillips redeemed himself, but I don't think that's a reason you're excited about it. And he's a fine guy, by the way. He's the son of Bum Phillips, who was also a fine guy. Love Bum Phillips, ex-coach of the Houston Oilers and the New Orleans Saints. I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm just trying to say why there's a lot of people probably happy Denver won, but they're not sure why. I'm trying to tell them why. And you throw Wade Phillips in there, cool, fine and dandy. The commercials, pretty boring as Super Bowl commercials go, and I think that is interesting as well. Some of the commercials were preachy. There was a lot of attempted humor that fell flat. One of the most controversial commercials, and it's interesting, your age will determine what it is about this commercial that bothered you, if anything did, and that's the Doritos commercial. Now, the pro-aborts and the nags are livid over this commercial. They are just fit to be tied. They are tweeting, they are Facebooking, they are guesting wherever they can. They have just gone livid. They've created a tweet storm over one thing. The Doritos commercial humanized a baby in the womb. And they cannot stand that, and they're admitting. They are admitting that this is what bothers them, because in the nag world and in the NARAL world and in the pro-abort world, that's nothing but a potential illness, an unviable tissue mass. It is nothing. It's not there until the mother decides what to do with it. The Doritos commercial has a pregnant woman getting what do you call that? Sonogram, right? She's getting a sonogram. And the husband, typical lughead, uninterested, wishes he was somewhere else husband, is eating a bag of Doritos. And the husband notices that as he puts a Dorito in his mouth, the baby in the womb as on the, what is it? Sonogram, reaches and attempts to reach out of the womb to grab a Dorito. So the dad says, wait, I didn't see that. So he starts moving Doritos around. He holds another Dorito in his hand, moves it around. The baby arm follows. And the father can't believe it. And, of course, the nurse can't believe it, and the mother can't believe it. And the NARAL people, by this point, are driven insane because the baby clearly wants a Dorito. And that's it for them. Now, if you are a certain age, there's something else about this commercial that will bother you. I guarantee you. Let's see if I nailed this. How does that commercial end, Snerdley? You remember how that commercial ends? The Dorito, the bag, the what? The wife is angry at all this. She throws a Dorito, and the baby, you are led to believe, just springs right out of the womb to try to get the Dorito. Now, a lot of people have no problem with the humanization of the fetus. A lot of people think that's cute, clever. But my guess is you get somebody 65, 70, the idea of that baby propelling itself out, that's probably what bothered them and made them the most uncomfortable. I'll bet you that if we could survey that or focus group it, I'll bet you that would be true. Other than that, it was harmless, it was funny, it was great. Everybody's talking about Doritos today, and the nags are livid. It was a home run. Colgate got preachy about water and toothpaste. We'll be back. Don't go away, folks. Sit tight. It's just not a good weekend for the nags. First, they had the Doritos commercial, or actually, second, they had the Doritos commercial. Before that, Gloria Steinem loses it over women. Young women not voting for Hillary, complaining and whining that they're more interested in boys, and she had to go out and issue an apology. And then Madeleine Albright, who thinking wig. Madeleine Albright is out there saying there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women, and this is supposed to help Hillary. Meanwhile, Bill's out there looking older than Bernie Sanders, ripping Bernie Sanders for ripping into Hillary. It's great. It's great to see. On the Republican side, what do you think the most talked about aspect of the Republican debate Saturday night is? Without question, it is the exchanges between Governor Christie and Senator Rubio, and Senator Rubio's repeated contention that Barack Obama is not incompetent, that he is not bumbling around and screwing things up accidentally, that instead what Obama is doing is explicit by design and on purpose. And he repeated it 4 or 5 times in such a way that people said, led by Christie, look at this. There it is again. The guy, he doesn't know what to say. He's a robot. He's got his 25-second speech. He's got his canned answer followed by a 25-second campaign. There it is. There it is. You see it. And the media Saturday night all chimed in saying this is it for Rubio. Rubio has blown it. Even on Fox News, some were comparing it to Dan Quayle's moment with Lord Benson. And I said, wait just a second. It's nowhere near that. And I think this is what I was talking about earlier when I say I think some of these professional media analysts, God bless them, and they do hard work, and many of them, they're just fine people, but I don't know that they have the ability to see these debates the way people watching the debates on TV see them. Meaning, I don't know how big a faux pas this was for Rubio. Clearly, it was not a positive. Clearly, it was not his best. But I don't think it ruined his chances and wiped him out. like some in the media opined. We'll get into this in great detail, and polling data coming up too, so sit tight. Okay, let's get to the audio sound bites. I want to start with this. It's the fastest way to get into this. Because this is important, folks. This is really, really important. There are only two people that I'm aware of that are making a consistent point. And Rubio actually is at the top of the... Rubio and Cruz are the only two in the entire Republican field. Carly Fiorina may have said something like this occasionally. With Rubio, it's a theme. With Cruz, it's close to a theme. And the real question is, why do the other Republicans in the field disagree? Why do they not say it themselves? And that being that Obama is doing what he's doing on purpose and by design. That is a brilliantly conceived and flawlessly executed plan to transform America into something it was not founded to be. This is something crucially important to Republican voters. To people inside the Beltway, it's kind of a chuckle moment. There they go again, those right-wingers. To people inside the Beltway, to the elites, to the establishment, Obama's just the latest Democrat to come along. He's no different than any other Democrat, the same, just the Democrat Party. They have a president. They don't see the country in crisis in any way, not because of the economy, not because of immigration, not because of foreign policy. In no way are we in a crisis. And as such, they don't see what Obama's doing is anything maybe than something a young, inexperienced, this is Christie's point, incompetent boob. Well, that's not who Obama is. Christie's opponents are using it, or Rubio's opponents are using it to try to disqualify him. See, Obama doesn't know what he's doing, and Rubio's the same kind of guy. Just a few short years in the Senate running for president. We can't afford it. Meanwhile, the governors, we're the guys, we're the tough guys. We've had to make tough decisions, blah, 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 blah. The governors will not admit who Obama is. The governors will not admit, and Trump doesn't agree that Obama is purposely doing this. Trump thinks he's a blithering incompetent. This is crucially important. But let's get to the audio sound bites to set this up first. Here is Christie. By the way, I told you, and this is not a hard prediction, that Rubio was going to be the target of this debate on Friday. I told you Rubio was going to be in the crosshairs of all of these other guns because of the momentum he had coming out of Iowa. And have you noticed something else? Coming out of Iowa, the so-called Republican establishment seemed to gravitate almost immediately to Rubio. Rubio was where the donor class was going to go, and Rubio was where the establishment was going to go because it just doesn't look like Jeb's going to get there. And Kasich may have a decent showing in New Hampshire, we don't know, but beyond that. And now the establishment can't wait to dump Rubio over this debate performance Saturday night. The establishment can't wait. Now they're struggling to find somewhere to go. They thought it was going to be Rubio. Why did they drop Rubio like a hot potato? I don't think it's because of his debate performance. It may be a factor, but I don't think that's the number one reason why the establishment all of a sudden decided to jettison Rubio. I think there's another reason. But let's get to the audio sound bites just to replay what happened here. Here's Christie, Saturday night, Manchester, New Hampshire. The moderator at ABC, David Muir. And this is another thing, by the way. I saw Carly Fiorina on Fox complaining she wasn't on the main stage, and I saw some people upset that Martha Raddatz was trying to nail Ted Cruz on foreign policy, which she was. You know, Ted Cruz had a great night, and the evidence of that is that nobody wanted to talk about it. If Ted Cruz had had a bad night, folks, you would still be hearing about it everywhere. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS. But Cruz could barely even get a mention Saturday night. And the only mention he got was this back and forth with Ben Carson over the silliness, talking about Iowa and the supposed cheating and stealing of votes. But aside from that, Cruz got hardly any mention. Oh, yeah, when his name was running solid, he was there, didn't hurt himself, didn't help himself. Given that none of the people we're talking about want to see Ted Cruz anywhere near the nomination, the fact is, had he done poorly, like some of the conventional wisdom was, that would have been their headline. But since he didn't bomb, and since he actually was pretty solid on everything that came his way, substantively, they ignored him. Best indication of the solid performance he turned in. But my point is, everybody complaining about the way Martha Raddatz went after Cruz. What if you're going to have ABC moderate your debate? What do you think is going to happen? George Stephanopoulos, a former, I actually think still an active Democrat operative. George Stephanopoulos from the Clinton War Room. What do you think you're going to get when you have ABC host a debate? Stop complaining. If you're going to make the decision to go there, you have to realize that Martha Raddatz wants Hillary Clinton to be elected, and Hillary Clinton's weakness is foreign policy. If Ted Cruz comes along and happens to run rings around Hillary or anybody else in foreign policy, she's going to try to take him out, and she's not going to show any respect at all. And that's exactly what happened. You have to know what's going to happen when you put your debate on ABC or CNBC or NBC. You have to know. Anyway. David Muir, ABC. Governor Christie, you said, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, when it comes to electing a first-term senator. You heard Senator Rubio make the case that he does have the experience. What's your response?
You have not been involved in a consequential decision where you had to be held accountable. You just simply haven't. And the fact is, when you talk about Hezbollah Sanctions Act that you list as one of your accomplishments and just did, you weren't even there to vote for it. That's not leadership. That's truancy. He simply does not have the experience to be president of the United States and make these decisions.
Okay, so Christie gets that allegation in, and Christie decided to hit Rubio because he had to. Rubio's ahead of him. Rubio has the momentum coming out of Iowa, so Rubio is going to be the target. David Muir says, thank you, Governor Christie. Senator Rubio, what's your response to that?
I think the experience is not just what you did, but how it worked out. Under Chris Christie's governorship of New Jersey, they've been downgraded 9 times in their credit rating.
That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech.
Chris, your state got hit by a massive snowstorm 2 weeks ago. You didn't even want to go back. They had to shame you into going back. No. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
The memorized 25-second speech.
Okay, so there is Christie. This is the second or third time that Rubio's made the point that this notion that Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just, and Christie jumps in. There it is. See, the memorized 25-second canned speech, there it is. That's all he's got. And Rubio went back to it and went back to it and went back to it and kept repeating it and hasn't stopped, by the way, saying it. At appearances in New Hampshire all day yesterday and even this morning, he's still out saying it. Here we've put together a montage of Rubio repeating that Obama line 4 different times during the debate.
Let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. Anyone who believes that Barack Obama isn't doing what he's doing on purpose doesn't understand what we're dealing with here.
He's one of 2 people saying it. Now, folks, you go out and talk to actual Republican primary voters. You go out outside of Washington, outside New York, go out to where these primaries and caucuses are being held, and you will find that this is exactly what has propelled Republicans to the polls in droves in 2010 and 2014. It's not the belief. It's not the theory. It is the knowledge that Obama's doing this on purpose, and there isn't and hasn't been any pushback. And Republican voters are livid. Obama has said he's doing it on purpose. He has said his purpose is to transform the nation. Everybody knows that Obama is an Alinskyite. The real question is, and I was talking about this over the weekend with my good buddy Andrew McCarthy. The real question is, why are these other guys not saying it? Why does Chris Christie make fun of it? Why does Donald Trump poo-poo it? Well, Trump I have to leave out of this theory. But Trump also, just for the record, said, hey, he thinks Obama's an incompetent boob, doesn't know what he's doing. Christie's point is Obama's incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing because he's inexperienced, just like Rubio doesn't know what he's doing because he's inexperienced. It's Barack Obama, too, in that Rubio would be an inexperienced senator, elected president. We don't want to do that again. Rubio's point, no. Obama's not incompetent. He's not inexperienced. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. And none of these Republican moderates will go there. You want to know why? You want to know why? You want to know why they cannot agree that Obama's doing this on purpose? Very simple. They cannot agree that Obama's doing it on purpose. They do not dare say that Obama's doing it on purpose because they have all worked with Barack Obama. In one way or another, every one of these governors, many of them, and even a lot of Republicans in the House and Senate have worked with Obama to advance certain elements of the agenda. We've worked with Obama on the spending bills. We have worked with Obama, or we want to, on amnesty and immigration. There are some in the Republican side who want to work with Obama when it comes to issues on the so-called war on women. But when you have worked with Obama, when you have asked Obama to come to your state, and when you have embraced Obama and done everything you can to get assistance from Obama, well, you can't turn around and then say Obama is purposely trying to transform the country because it makes you look like an idiot. So you have to fall back on the idea that it's unintentionally just incompetent, just a boob, and we can't elect anybody else that's as inexperienced as Obama was because they're going to have the same mess. And we will not have, there's not a single Republican running that wants to transform this country the way Obama is doing it. Not one. Not a single one. There's not a single Republican in this field who would, by virtue of inexperience, make the mistakes Obama is making. Because Obama is not making mistakes. Obama has an agenda. And I think the real important question here to ask and answer is, why won't anybody but Rubio and Cruz say it? Because that's essentially, if you had to encapsulate what the Republican primary is, it's about that. Like they keep harping on, I think Christie, or might have been Trump, I don't know who it was, jumped on Rubio. Maybe it was a moderator in the post-debate analysis. Why does he keep campaigning against Obama? Obama's not on the ballot. Obama's 7 years old. Obama's in his last year. Why does he keep running against Obama? Because Hillary and Bernie Sanders want to continue what Obama has started, and it is the transformation of America. And the Republican base is fully aware of it. The Republican primary voters have been begging the Republican Party to stop this since 2010, since 2009, when Obama took office. Anyway, I'm little over the time here. The next segment's going to be shorter than it should be. Apologize in advance. We'll be back. Don't go. You people get mad at me all you want, but I'm going to tell you something else. Somebody asked them to define conservatism. Might have been Mary Catherine Ham. I don't know. Let me just ask you, who had the best definition of conservatism in the Saturday night debate? I'm just going to ask it open-ended here. Was it Trump? Was it Cruz? Was it Rubio? Was it Christie? Was it Jeb? Was it Kasich? Am I leaving anybody? Carson. Who had the best definition of conservatism? You don't think that matters to people watching? See, the post-debate analysts who are either on site or in studios, television studio, this is not a criticism of them. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I think when you start making fun of Rubio for repeating that Obama's doing it on purpose, you don't understand how important that is to the Republican base, which is what this primary is all about. It's fundamental. And by the same token, defining conservatism, being able to, fundamental. It's what this is all about. And if you can't do it, if your definition of conservatism is ignorant or wrong, I guarantee you're going to pay for it when it comes time to vote. Nobody in post-debate analysis talked about any of this. But I will guarantee you, whether it shows up in exit poll data or not, those questions are going to be factors in how this whole thing ends up tomorrow night. Let me get started on the phones. We'll go to Radford, Virginia. Lee, great to have you. You're up first. Hello.
Hello, Rush. Thanks for taking the call.
You bet.
I've been through a lot with the Republican Party. I got to say, Saturday night, first time in my life I've ever been ashamed to be a Republican.
Why?
You know, the way Christie just went after Rubio and then bragging about it Sunday morning, it felt sickening. It felt wrong. Something's wrong here.
Oh, wait a minute. It's a primary. Rubio's ahead of him. Christie, we're getting down to the nip and tuck. If these guys don't start making moves now, it's going to be too late. You've got to expect this kind of thing. They're going to go after each other.
But if he attacks Hillary Clinton like that, they will have him on a cross. They'll have him in the hospital.
Well, it's a good point. Do you think he would hit Hillary Clinton that way?
Well, what else can he do? What else can he do but be who he is? What else can Jeb Bush do but be who he is? Stand there and shake his head and be ineffective. Jeb Bush is never going to be president of this country. Chris Christie is never going to be president. You know, Kasich and Jeb and Christie say, we can reach across the aisle and work with Democrats. But then they attack Rubio for trying to do that. And,
well, they're attacking Rubio for being disingenuous. That's what they're trying to they're trying to thread that. You got a good point. I'm not blowing your point up, but I'm being precise. They're trying to go after Rubio for being disingenuous, dishonest, saying he's conservative here and there, and then behind everybody's back, he's trying to secure amnesty. But you're right. He's working with Democrats, which is what these guys claim to be the experts at doing. The engineer knows I am teasing him when how can you be so mean to my staff? How can I? The engineer knew I was teasing. We have an understanding here. Anyway, folks, you sit tight because we're just getting warmed up on this Republican debate stuff. There's much more that went on besides this, but we're not through with this. Then we got the Democrats to deal with as well, and other news that has nothing to do with any of this. The views expressed by the host on this show make more sense than anything anybody else out there happens to be saying. You know why that is? Empathy, my friends, empathy. And an unstoppable, relentless pursuit of the truth as we meet and surpass all audience expectations every day. Telephone number 800-282-2882. The email address, ilrushbo@eibnet.com. So again, best definition of conservatism. For those of you who didn't see the debate, I know this kind of leaves you in the dark because you don't know when you're relying on somebody to tell you. And I will at some point, but I want people in the audience to think about this. These are things that the post-debate analysis didn't even get into. And the post-debate, and I mean everywhere, the post-debate analysis on Rubio was that he made a fool of himself, that he exposed himself as unprepared, robotic, nervous, not worthy of the bump that he got coming out of Iowa, may have in fact been like the Dan Quayle moment. That was Britt Hume's take on Fox News. If you don't remember that, Dan Quayle was George H.W. Bush's vice presidential nominee and having a vice presidential debate. And Lloyd Benson, known here as Lord Benson because he's one of these left-wing Democrat aristocrats in Texas, was debating. Was it a vice president? It was a vice president. Yeah, that's right. It was. Would this have been? well, I forget the year. Anyway, during a discussion of inexperience, I believe it was, Quayle happened to mention that JFK was not that experienced when he was elected president after serving just a short period of time in the Senate, and Lord Benson pounced. Lord Benson said, I knew JFK. John Kennedy was a friend of mine. And you, Senator, are no John Kennedy. And the roof came off the place. It was total humiliation. It was one of the most, just devastating slams ever to have been witnessed in politics. And poor Mr. Quayle had the deer in the headlight eyes for a while before he tried to recover from it. That's what many said happened to Rubio Saturday night. Now, I'm here to tell you that it was nowhere near that, but it wasn't good. Rubio did seem to be unable to say anything else at certain times in the debate. But the question is, how did people who are going to vote in this thing see it? Versus how do the analysts see it? I am convinced, after so many years of doing this, that, and it's common. It happens. I've always been amazed. Sorry for the stutter around here. I'm looking for the best way to say this. The way debate performances are analyzed, as though people waiting to vote actually have their votes so insecurely attached to themselves they can watch a debate and see one slip up, and that can mean, oops, that's it. When I hear somebody, Rubio had a bad night, very bad night. Well, Rubio fans who are committed are not going to abandon him for this. Maybe people who are not, maybe leaning Rubio, yeah, but it takes more than this to talk committed supporters out of a candidate. This is just not the way that people make up their minds. In fact, there's even some good analysis that debates are not that big a factor in choosing a candidate. In presidential debates, I remember, not recently, but back in I forget the years, but it's not all that new that debates have taken on more importance than they used to. Snerdley's frowning at me. The old saw has always been that debates really don't change things much at the presidential level. Now, that's always been a rule of thumb based and backed up on polling data. But the way these things get analyzed afterwards, it's almost like analyze a football game, and you get mad at a wide receiver dropped a certain touchdown pass, and that's why the team lost. Well, when you're analyzing a football game, you already know who won, you already know who lost, and you can factor all these things in hindsight. But a debate takes place long before there's a result, and nobody really knows how any of these myriad number of things that happen in a debate are going to affect the outcome and individual votes. For example, the definition of conservatism question may not be as harmful to candidates in New Hampshire as it could be in other states, because the electorate in New Hampshire is made up a lot of moderates and independents. They have their share of conservatives, but it may not be as big a deal as if you fudge that question in South Carolina, for example. But there's some people that really got that question horribly bad wrong. I mean, embarrassingly bad wrong Saturday night. Isn't it kind of fundamental? Define conservatism. There were some people that were embarrassingly bad on it. Not one comment post-debate. Also on the post-debate analysis of Rubio and Christie. Yeah, Rubio did not look good. There's no sense in you Rubio people trying to mask this. It was not his best. He did repeat it over and over again, and it did look at times like he had forgotten anything else to say. You have to admit it. But what nobody else talked about is how did Christie look on the attack? And did that help him? And then there's another question if you're going to go this route. And it's a serious question as well that nobody can answer. Okay, let's say you assume that Rubio's performance in the debate with this repetition of his claim that Obama is not incompetent and what he's doing is not accidental. If that's going to hurt Rubio, who's going to end up being helped? If that is going to cause people voting for Rubio to not vote for Rubio, where are they going to go? Does it mean they're going to go to Christie? Well, this is what you would be led to believe by post-debate analysis, that if in this confrontation, Christie, if this is the way you look at it, exposed Rubio, then isn't it natural Rubio would pick up the Christie vote, or Christie would pick up the Rubio votes that Rubio is going to lose? Because I don't think that's the way it works. I think if Rubio actually loses votes, you know where they're going to go? Ted Cruz. They're not going to go to John Kasich, and they're not going to go to Christie, and they're not going to go to Jeb. But depending on what you want to happen, if you're an analyst on television or radio after one of these debates, and you have a desired outcome, which they all do, silly for people to deny it, if indeed Rubio screwed up and lost the support, where does it go? Where does a disappointed Rubio voter go? And they make the automatic conclusion they're going to go to Christie, because Christie's the guy that exposed him. And I don't think there's any evidence of that at all. And I don't think there's any formula that would be predictive of something like that. I think if you want to answer that, you have to say, okay, why do Rubio supporters support him, and who's closest to him if somebody gets soured on Rubio? And then you figure out where they go. Might they go Carson? No. I mean, how many people are going to knowingly vote for somebody they know is not going to win this thing? Do you realize 4 or 5 candidates are going to get votes from people who know they haven't got a prayer? There is an intricacy and a complexity to this that makes predicting it by virtue of what you think are missteps in a debate impossible to do. I am still not convinced that Trump had a problem in Iowa solely because he didn't go to the debate. It may be a factor, but it's not the sole factor. By the same token, Trump in this debate he was awesome. When the subject of eminent domain came up, when something that Trump believes in passionately comes up, get out of the way. There isn't going to be anybody change his mind. There isn't anybody going to make him question what he believes, and he's going to destroy anybody who disagrees with him. And he firmly believes in eminent domain. Now, many people on the Republican conservative side immediately withdraw from eminent domain because they think it's nothing but big government times 10, stealing and taking people's property, not compensating them fairly. And here's the leading Republican candidate extolling the virtues of eminent domain in a way that most voters have never heard. Because most candidates would not dare promote, defend, advocate eminent domain. But Trump, as a builder and somebody who encounters the need for eminent domain throughout his business, has hands-on experience with it. Says, you want the pipeline? You couldn't get 10 feet of it without eminent domain. You want your highways? You want your roads, your bridges? I hear everybody talk about infrastructure rebuilding. You can't do it without eminent domain. If somebody, and here's the kicker, if somebody gets screwed in a deal, it's because they didn't do a good enough deal with the government when the government came in and wanted their property. If the government comes in and wants your property, make a killer deal. They've got an endless supply of money. You hold them up. You don't give it away, you hold them up. And he ends up blaming the people who get screwed by eminent domain for making lousy deals. Who does that? There's Trump out there being Trump, full and full, through and through. And Jeb Bush decided to get into it with him on this. Say, well, the difference is that, yes, Donald's right when you're talking about public sector and government eminent domain. But Donald Trump is not that. When Donald Trump wants your property to build a casino, or when Donald Trump wants your property to build a road or a bridge, that's when you're going to get shafted. And Trump's sitting there making faces and acting frustrated and poo-pooing Jeb away. And then shushes him up. Just be quiet. You don't even know what you're talking about. Jeb, he's trying to look big again. Jeb trying to look tough. It's not working, Jeb. It's not working. Here's another shining moment for Trump. Trump's getting booed throughout this whole thing. And after a while, he gets fed up with getting booed because he thinks he's making brilliant points. He's making points that normally bring the House down with standing ovations. He's getting booed. So he finally decides to give it up. And he tells everybody, the reason I'm getting booed in here is because the only people in the audience are a bunch of donors. I tried to get tickets for my supporters, and they said you can have 20. That's why I'm getting booed. You got people in here who don't like Trump. You've got the donors, you've got the lobbyists, you got the K Street people, you've got these people who want Jeb, you got these people who want all these moderates in here, and that's why I'm getting booed. My fans were not allowed in here. Place booed, but nobody denied what he said. They might have ripped him for blowing cover, but nobody denied what he said. So, I mean, it was filled with this debate was filled with great moments for many of the candidates. But if you rely solely on the post-debate analysis for your cues, you're going to miss, because some of it doesn't register with them. Like when they were asked to define conservatism. I guarantee that question, that's when I would venture to say that if any of the professional political people in the audience at TV networks, moderators, analysts, that they might have taken a couple of minutes off during that answer because they don't think it's relevant. It doesn't matter. What do you mean define conservative? That's not it. But the viewing audience, that's everything to them. Who is and who isn't a conservative and who can and cannot explain why. And as I say, some of these candidates botched it big as possible. Some of them nailed it. Let's take a brief time out. We will come back. We will continue here on the EIB network right after this. Don't go. To the phones we return. Lee in Queens, it's great to have you with us. Greetings. Hello.
Rush, thank you for taking the call.
You bet.
Marco Rubio will absolutely ensure Obama's agenda will continue directly because of his support for amnesty. And amnesty is the one single umbrella issue under which the left will get whatever it wants because they have the votes.
Well, and if Obamacare isn't fully repealed, yep. Obamacare, health care, socialized medicine, single payer, whatever, and amnesty, those two things happen, and it's success for Obama's transformation.
It's over. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing, what I think is you're seeing in Rubio is the Limbaugh theory on display. He's going to claim to be against all of this stuff, but the moment he is for amnesty, that's it, because he knows that the left are going to get the votes.
Well, he's got a problem here. I mean, there's no question. He was part of the Gang of Eight. And he's got to explain that to the satisfaction of primary voters to whom it is everything. So that's part of his history he cannot erase.
It's true.
So you believe that whatever he's saying now is not true, that he secretly harbors amnesty, something he agrees with, and if elected president, will make it happen.
His history says so. I mean, he's extremely well-spoken. Obama's extremely well-spoken. But once you support amnesty, you're supporting the left. You're giving them the votes. And then after he supports amnesty, after he supports the agenda of the left, he can turn around and claim to be against these issues. He can even claim to fight them like the theater that we've been seeing all these years. But it's not going to mean anything because he gave them the votes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand you. You think that whatever he's saying about his role in the Gang of Eight right now to erase it is not true, that if he is nominated and if he is elected president, that he is going to make sure that all of the illegals in the country are granted amnesty. You think that that's what Rubio wants to do?
If I believe his actions over his words, yes. He supported the Gang of Eight, period.
So Rubio is out for you. There's nothing.
1,000,000%.
100 million. So who are you supporting?
I'm supporting Trump. Trump is the only guy that came out against immigration. We're talking about immigration.
All right, look, I'm not trying to light any explosions here, but have you heard what Trump has said that he plans to do?
What I heard is he's going to build a wall, and it's going to have a door, and he's going to stop the Muslims coming in from the countries who support terrorists.
Yeah, but he said that the people he deports can get back in if they
do it legally.
If they come
then
in,
then it's controlled.
Okay, all right. I'm just passing along things that I've heard.
I've heard that too. He hasn't said he was going to close the border. He said he was going to control the border.
Right. No, nobody said he's going to close. He's going to have Mexico build a wall.
Right.
Well, we don't want them to build. They're going to pay for it.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Through his trade agreements.
It'll have Trump watchtowers on it that you can probably rent as luxury suites overnight for a week or whatever, and see right over the wall, see right into Mexico, and see that there aren't any more illegals getting through. And you can pay $10,000 a night. Stay in a Trump suite high atop the Trump wall. Hey, don't laugh. And I'm not offering it as a criticism. I appreciate the call, Lee. Who's next? Joanne in Pennsylvania. Great to have you on the program. Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Rush, for taking my call.
You bet.
My comment goes to the definition of conservatism topic during the debate. I thought the debate was great. I vote for lots of them. But my comment is about John Kasich. And he really believes, and he's promoting himself as a conservative with exceptions. And the exceptions that he's pointing out is that he's a conservative, but he's a nice guy conservative who's running a positive campaign. Rush, I was yelling at my TV because none of the candidates disagreed with his premise that conservatism is synonymous with negative, mean, nasty people, which is just perpetuating the liberal narrative of conservatism.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm not sure what your point is. I'm going to guess that she don't like Kasich. That's what I thought. And you're upset that nobody was exposing Kasich as being... That's because they all agree with him. Joanne, what he said about conservatism, it needs modifiers, it needs nice people, it needs compassion. They all agree with him in the Republican establishment on that. That's why. We'll be back. All right, we're going to get back to the audio soundbites here in just a jiffy, but I want to grab one more phone call. It's Jill in Alexandria, Virginia. By the way, Jill is one of my all-time top 10 favorite female names. It's great to have you here. Hi.
Hey, Russ, thank you so much. And I am a first-time caller. I'm very excited to get through. My first try. My comment is I wanted to agree with you that the base, the conservative base, doesn't really care about Rubio's so-called, poor performance on Saturday night, because we know what he was trying to say. We believe what he was saying. And maybe he should have said it a little differently, or maybe he could say it differently going forward. That it's not so much about experience, it's about what you believe. Because look what Obama believes in. And he is using the power of the presidency to act on those beliefs. And so that's, I think that's what he was trying to say. I mean, I knew it instantly, felt it. I am not the least bit convinced that, Rubio is not going to work out as president. I'm not necessarily for him.
So this is my point, and Jill, I'm glad you said it the way you did, because what I've been trying to say is she's a committed Rubio supporter. So whatever happens Saturday, it's not going to make her question her support. She's committed. It's no different if let's say you're a fan of Carolina Panthers. You're not going to abandon them next year because of what happened yesterday. You know that's a one-off, or you hope or think it is, that they're a better team than that. Now, I'm not trying to equate the importance of supporting a football team to a candidate, but I'm simply saying that the analysis of all this and the way voters make up their minds does not track with the way the professional class analyzes these things. It was not Rubio's best night. He came out of Iowa with roaring momentum, and every debate prior, he had been the epitome of in control and optimistic passion, great articulation. And in this debate, he seemed stuck. It wasn't that he repeated himself 4 times, it's that he seemed unable to come up with anything else. So said the critics. And then the critics say, that's going to cause a lot of voters to question their support for Rubio. And I don't think it does. Maybe some that may be on the fence, and maybe people that don't support Rubio obviously would not be inspired to after that. But to have something like that be this major upheaval in the, I don't see it, because there are too many other factors. Who's to say that some people not mad at Christie for the way he went after Rubio? I mean, don't forget, even on our side, there are conservatives and other Republicans who think that Christie may have been too mean, might have been too oppressive. Who knows? There's just a whole bunch of factors that are involved in this that I think make it impossible to track voter support minute by minute in a debate. I don't think, let me put it this way, I don't think anybody goes into a debate after the first 5 minutes, you know what, the opening statement's, best opening statement, Bush! I'm Bush's guy! And then the next 5 minutes, somebody says something that really, you know what, screw Bush, I'm with Carson. And then Carson fumbles around the next, that's it for Carson. You know what, I think I'll go to Trump. Trump looks good. I don't think it happens this way. Do you? It does not happen this way. So to analyze these debates that way, I think kind of misses the point. If voters actually change their minds as frequently as the analysts tell us candidates screwed up or did well, like I could make the case that Ted Cruz had a bang-up debate Saturday night. And I could offer you evidence that he got hardly any discussion in the post-debate analysis. Well, yeah, Rush, so how does that mean he did well? Well, let me tell you. Going in, you know that most Republican establishment types and moderates and centrists do not like the guy at all. You know it. I don't even have to tell you. Ergo, if Cruz had an off night, or if Cruz really screwed something up, that would have been the main thing they were talking about. But Cruz didn't even get a mention until deep into the post-debate analysis. And the consensus analysis of Cruz was, he had a solid night. He didn't hurt himself. He didn't help himself. He maybe went a little long talking about his sister. Like, okay, yeah, there were people going to vote for Cruz. But at 25 minutes into an answer or 25 seconds into an answer on his sister, you know what? I don't like this. I'm not voting for Cruz. This doesn't happen that way. The way people vote or even acknowledge support or lack of support for candidates does not track with the way these things get analyzed, answer by answer, question by question. But they have to do something here to analyze it, and they have to do something here to illustrate their expertise. Let's go to the audio sound bites. I think maybe I can give you an idea what I'm talking about. This is a montage of a bunch of analysts from Saturday, Sunday, and Monday on Rubio somehow squandering whatever gravitas that he had going into the debate Saturday night.
Will Marco Rubio be painted now forever as a robotic candidate?
A robotic quality.
He's already been portrayed by a lot of us as a fairly robotic candidate.
It was like when a robot gets water poured in it.
Rubio is simply too programmed, too robotic.
He was shown to be too robotic.
That he's robotic.
This narrative that he's robotic
and repetitive.
He looked robotic.
Robotic talking points.
He is some kind of over-rehearsed robot.
Now, I don't have anything other than anecdotal. I have seen a little videotape of voters talking about Rubio. And I have gone to comments sections of websites, and I haven't seen one voter talk about how Rubio was robotic. They've had other criticisms, and they've had other praise, but I haven't seen this Rubio was robotic. The media consensus, and by that's a cross-section of every network that we have, at least one person on every network, Rubio was robotic. Now, I watched the debate. I never thought Rubio was robotic. I thought Rubio got stuck, had brain freezes. I've had them. It's rare, but I've had them. I've had them in the middle of Rush to Excellence performances, and I've had to vamp for 2 minutes trying to remind myself where I was. It just happens to people. That it is robotic. It's not that this is the only thing he knows to say. How do you say it's robotic when we've got how many debates that we've already had where every one of these people thought he was great. He was super. The guy was articulate. He was this. He was that. And now one debate, and all of a sudden he's become robotic. Sorry, it doesn't work that way, particularly in the minds of people who vote. Now, I'm not saying it's not insignificant with voters. I may be threading the needle here too thin, but I'm just saying they don't look at this as robotic. They might have looked at it as they were nervous for him, or he seemed the opposite of robotic, just frozen, stuck. And then they might say, why? Why was he flustered? Was he really bothered by the Christie? That's what they're going to ask. Here's Christie and Jeb on Sunday echoing that Rubio was robotic. Christie's on Fox News Sunday, Chris Wallace. So this is going to go on for a while, these bumper cars with you and Rubio.
Last night, what they saw is instructive. It's instructive and needs to be seen, and my strong leadership needs to be seen, and Senator Rubio's robotic performance needs to be seen, too.
Well, who can disagree with him in the drive-bys? They're all saying the same thing. Interesting, that. Fox News Sunday, Chris Wallace talking to Governor Bush. Say, Governor, how bad a night for your former protege, Marco Rubio?
Well, you know, he's so scripted. He's so gifted. He's a great speaker, but he came across as totally scripted and kind of robotic.
There it is again. He was robotic. Snurdly, you watch this. Don't mean to put you on the spot. Is robotic the way you reacted to this? I didn't either. I didn't, and I don't have a dog in the fight yet, folks. If there's any number of these people, if they won, I'd be cool with it. But robotic is not how I saw this. Though that's in fact, Snurdly is reminded with the last half of the debate, Rubio was back to normal. He was doing a great job, like all the other previous debates. He was in command. He was articulating what he believed fine. It was the first half of the debate. It could be nothing more complicated, and he knew everybody was going to be coming for him. And just nerves, I don't know what it is. And Rush, if it's that, my God, we can't elect somebody who's going to get nervous over something. I understand, folks, I'm not trying to tell you how to react to it. I'm just suggesting that the professionals here, I'm going to repeat this again. What Rubio said, forget how many times he said it. What Rubio said, he and Cruz are the only two saying it. I'm telling you, folks, this is fundamentally important. The characterization, the analysis of Obama. Most of the people, Trump, Jeb, Christie, don't know about Carson, Kasich, guaranteed, do not think that Obama has ill designs on America. Why, no, don't be so silly. He's just in over his head. He's just not qualified for this. And this is why we can't elect senators. This is precisely why we have to elect these brilliant, seasoned governors. Because these senators that haven't even served a full term, why they're so over their head that they just make a mess of everything. And Rubio's point is he's making a mess of nothing. except the way this country was founded, and he's doing it on purpose. Ted Cruz, as I said, is the only other guy who consistently makes this point because it happens to be true, and most Republican primary voters believe it to be true. Hell, it's even beyond believe it to be true. They know it to be true. The real question is, why are the others not saying it? Why will Jeb not say? Why will Chris Christie not say that Obama is purposely undermining this country as founded? Why will John Kasich not say it? Why will Trump not say it? Trump is a unique answer here, but the other guys, I'll tell you why they won't say it. It's because they've all worked with him. Well, Jeb hasn't, but Jeb would have if he had been in position to. The Republican moderates, the Republican establishment, McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, has announced that there will be no disagreement with the Obama agenda this year because he doesn't want any argument or disagreement with Obama to be a negative impact on the Republican presidential campaign. So the Senate majority leader has just said there will be no stopping Obama's agenda because to criticize Obama makes us look bad. What the hell is this campaign going to be about if not that? My point is that these guys that will not characterize Obama as doing this on purpose can't, because they've all worked with him one way or another. They've all sought his assistance, or they have joined him one issue to another. And they can't, therefore, say he's undermining the country as founded, because that would make them complicit. Since they've worked with him, the only thing they can say is he's a bumbling idiot and incompetent. And I'm telling you, that's not the case at all. Here's George in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Great to have you, sir. Hello.
Hi, Rush.
Hey.
There is a Trump voter that drives me nuts, and that is the guy that says, I'm for Trump because he's not under the influence of politicians. He doesn't have anything to gain by going into this. Wait a second. If Genghis Khan had all of Asia, did he stop there, or did he want to conquer Europe? If he had nothing to gain, why was he writing $100,000 checks to Democrats, the same Democrats that were advancing the garbage policies that have gotten us into this hole? Why was Trump writing checks to them?
See, here we go. Here, if you're a Rubio supporter, you got people telling you you're making a mistake. The guy's for amnesty. If you're a Trump supporter, you better be careful. The guy's giving money to the Clintons. The Clintons were at his wedding. He's giving money to Schumer. He says he doesn't need money, doesn't want donations because he's got enough money. Your theory, Genghis Khan had enough money, had a whole continent, didn't stop him from wanting all kinds of power. So you distrust Trump. So any number of people will be coming at you, trying to make you question your support for any of these people, based on the fact that one or all of them is lying to you. What are you to do? What do you do in that circumstance? The answer is easy. Listen to me. Find out about Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. We'd have to ask John Kerry, the haughty John Kerry, seems to be the expert in Genghis, whatever, Khan. And Jeb has worked with Obama on Common Core. Forgot that. Hang tough, folks. Coming right back. Yeah, hang on here just a second, folks. Just a minute. Just a second. I just got the... All right. Greetings and welcome back. Rush Limbaugh, having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. Executing assigned host duties flawlessly, zero mistakes. And maybe I shouldn't speak so loud so as not to frighten the 24-year-old young women in the audience who are becoming socialists. It's a major problem. No, don't laugh. It's actually happening. All the millennials that are glomming onto Bernie Sanders, it's 42% of the Democrat Party now admits that they are socialist and they favor socialism. 17% of the Republican Party favors socialism now. Now, there's a reason for this. It's what's being taught. all this stuff going on campus for all of these years, it has a real world result and application. And it's something that is almost, it's not exclusively, but boy, it's pretty close to exclusive to young people, millennials in general, who are finding an attraction to socialism because it's being lied about. I mean, the way it's being taught, it's being lied about. Fairness, equality, nobody ever left out. I mean, everybody has something. And, of course, the proof is all over the world. But one of the greatest examples, I saw it written about in a story today on the Super Bowl. A reporter, it doesn't matter who, folks, in the sports, I mean, they're all leftist drive-bys, it doesn't matter who, was talking about San Francisco. Oh, it's one of the most beautiful cities. It's one of the greatest cities in the world. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. It's one of a kind. Went on and on extolling the virtues of San Francisco. And I knew it was going somewhere, and it was. This particular reporter was shocked and saddened at how much homelessness he saw just walking the city. He could not believe that in America in 2016, this problem exists to this degree. He said he's seen homeless before, but he hasn't seen 75 to 100 of them per block. Well, San Francisco's not exactly a conservative place. Safe to say San Francisco has never been a conservative place. Safe to say San Francisco is liberal Mecca. Culturally, especially, San Francisco is exactly what the socialist utopians think is socialist utopia. And yet they hate the cops there. They hate well, you know the drill. The homelessness is as bad there as it is anywhere in the country. Now, what this guy probably did not want to admit or reference, all this is happening during a Democrat presidency. I mean, it's one thing to have the homeless on the streets when a George W. Bush is in the White House, because obviously Republicans don't care. Republicans don't care if people are getting sick and dying in the streets. But we liberal Democrats, why, we care, and we have all the compassion, and we have raised taxes, and we have done everything we can to stop this. And yet it's worse. No matter where you go in this country, every problem the left loses their cookies over, every problem they wring their hands at, every so-called problem is worse by a factor of 5 in cities they run. Now, do you think these young kids coming out of college extolling the virtues of socialism are being taught any of this? No, they're being taught socialist theory. Socialist theory works every time you theorize about it. Socialism fails every time it's tried, but those instances are not referenced. So it is a problem. That's why it matters when Republican candidates characterize Obama and his motives. It's why it matters. This is Obama's America. He is responsible for this. He is seeing to it that this happens. He thinks there's a price to pay for our superpower status. It's illegitimate. All of our wealth, in Obama's view, is irrelevant. And it is unjust because we have stolen it from others. We have not genuinely produced it. So all of the wealth and all the superpower status and all of that, as far as Obama's concerned, it's illegitimate because it has been acquired by ill-gotten means and plundering resources from around the world, you name it. And so Obama's view is it's time we paid the price. And it's time we found out the kind of life we have brought to others in the world. It's time we found out the way other people have to live because of us. And so if there's a lot of homeless in San Francisco, sorry, price we have to pay. This is just the devil making his due. This is just whatever come and do. This is just everything being evened out. And so when Rubio or Cruz characterize this as purposeful, it damn well is. An internal poll conducted yesterday. This is from the Politico, by the way. Let me just read this to you. An internal poll conducted on Sunday suggested Marco Rubio's fumbled debate performance has damaged his prospects heading into the New Hampshire primary tomorrow. The poll was conducted by, you ready for this? The pro-John Kasich New Day for America super PAC. Well, shazam! We have a John Kerry poll that says a Rubio stepped in it. That's big news. That's what's being reported right here. Right here in the Politico. A poll conducted by the pro-John Kasich New Day for America super PAC shows that Rubio's plummeted to 4th place in the New Hampshire primary, with 10% of the vote. Most of the polling conducted in the immediate days before the debate showed Rubio in 2nd place. The survey was based on 500 phone calls. Phone calls to 500 likely voters. The margin of error, according to Kasich's poll, is plus or minus 3%. It was conducted yesterday, the day following the Republican debate. Donald Trump leads big in the John Kasich poll, 35%. He doubles Kasich, who is in 2nd place in his own poll at 15%. Jeb Bush, 3rd place at 13%. Marco Rubio in 5th and 6th place. 4th place. Rubio in 4th place. And Christie and Ted Cruz are in 5th and 6th place at 8%. So Ted Cruz is at the bottom of the John Kasich poll. I'm sorry. Turn on the ditto cam. There it is. I'm sorry. I didn't have that off on purpose. Who asked you? Okay. I'm always curious when people notice, that it's not on. So in Kasich's own poll, Cruz is at the bottom, 8%. Kasich's in 2nd place, Trump at 35%, and Rubio has seen the bottom fall out. And right there it is in the Politico. Now, since they've got that, let's look at some polls that were published today, Real Clear Politics. And let's look at the UMass tracking poll. New Hampshire Republican primary, UMass Channel 7 News, Eyeball News tracking. Trump 34, Rubio 13, Cruz 13, Kasich 10, Bush 10, Christie 5, Fiorita 4, and Carson 3. So Cruz and Rubio tied for 2nd in this one. Democrat, same poll, Sanders 56, Clinton 40. In the ARG New Hampshire primary tracking poll, Trump 30, Rubio 16, Cruz 10, Kasich 16, tied with Rubio in 2nd place. Then Bush 9, Christie 6. It's apparent here Christie has not gained any ground. No matter what happened to Rubio, even in Kasich's poll, Christie has not gained any ground. Anyway, that's a summary here. It's impossible really to know Monmouth. And this is from yesterday, the Monmouth College tracking poll. Trump 30, Rubio 13, Kasich 14, Cruz 12, Bush 13. This tracks closer to Kasich's poll. Well, except Cruz is in 4th place here instead of last. Rubio and Bush are tied at 13 for 3rd place, Kasich at 14. On the Democrat side, Sanders 52, Clinton 42. Trump has a 16-point lead in the Monmouth poll, Bernie Sanders 10 points. In the CNN WMUR poll, this is the one with a margin of error 7 points, so you almost have to throw it out, but it has, and this is Sunday, not today. Trump 33, Rubio 16, Kasich 11, Cruz 14, so he'd be in 3rd place, Bush 7, Fiorina 6, Christie 4, and Carson 2. Trump with a 17-point lead there. On the Democrat side, Sanders up by 23, 58-35. Which I think makes sense now to move over to the Democrat side on this. Bill Clinton, as I said earlier, has unleashed his most direct attacks on Crazy Bernie as the New Hampshire primary voters begin to make up their minds before going to the polls tomorrow. Bill Clinton called Crazy Bernie a hypocrite for criticizing his wife for taking large speaking fees from Goldman Sachs and other. You know, about that, I'm sorry, I can't get through this without having to opine. I saw the number from, 2002 to the present, 2003, the Clintons combined. Are you ready for this, Rachel? The Clintons combined, just making speeches for an income of around $115 to $120 million. Just making speeches. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the establishment works in miraculous ways to keep itself in the money. And one of the ways it does it is with tricks like this. The big banks and Wall Street are heavily invested in the Democrat Party. So if you want to make sure that the Clintons are flush, by the way, one of the reasons for keeping people wealthy, I'm going to tell you a little inside story. Back in my second year doing this, no, it would have been my fourth year, so it would have been 1992. I met somebody whose name you would know, who is in the media business, pretty big in the media business, and is conservative, who took me aside and said, here's my hope for you. My hope for you is that you are able to acquire enough wealth so that you are able to really be who you are and say what you really think without fear of loss. He wasn't offering to do it. Don't misunderstand. He's just his point was, if you acquire enough wealth, then you're really, really free to be who you are. If your daily existence doesn't depend on not angering people, if you can go through your day without fearing ticking somebody off who can hurt you financially, then you are going to have a much more honest career. Now, he was not offering to make me rich. Don't misunderstand. It was to me, it was another one of these opportunities to learn things that I've had presented to me by virtue of my own success here. It's one of the perks. So when I see the banks propping up the Clintons, I mean, they're not being offered $250,000 to come speak because what they say is so unique, and the banks can't get it anywhere else. And whoever the bank's audience for these speeches are, either other employees or investors, it's not that the Clintons come and offer things that they can't get anywhere else. It's not that the Clintons have insight that others don't have. It's not that the Clintons, this is how the people in that club keep the individual members wealthy. It's how the wealth is spread. In the case of the Clintons, it is also how they invest in the possibility of the Clintons once again returning to the White House and thus being able to return favors. So a lot of people paying the Clintons money for speeches are actually people donating to the Clintons on the come, hoping that if they get elected, there will be reciprocity in terms of favorable policy or maybe an ambassadorship or what have you. But this is the way the world works, and this is why money is the mother's milk of politics. The Clintons came out of the... Now, they were not dirt poor, but the Clintons were not wealthy. They had nowhere near the money they've got now. How did they get it? How did the Clintons end up having a fortune of $150 million when they had Clinton's salary of $400,000 as president, and Hillary, whatever she had as Rose law firm lawyer, doesn't have any money compared to this. I'm not saying they were dirt poor, but how they end up having $150 million for doing speeches? Are you kidding me? Nobody gets paid that much to do speeches because nobody has that much to say to make it that worth it. There's something else going on here. That's why Mrs. Clinton won't reveal the transcripts of these speeches. Something in them would give away the game. Something in these either these speeches are filled with nothing but slathering, slavish, complimentary garbage about how great the banks are, how great Goldman Sachs is, and if that's in there, there is no way Mrs. Clinton wants her average voters to see that. As far as Democrat voters are concerned, Hillary and Bernie hate the banks. And if there's transcripts of speeches with Hillary out there praising the banks, talking about how wonderful the banks are, saving the world, the banks are protected, it would be a big problem. So there's no way you're ever going to see those transcripts. But I mean, $120 million are doing speeches. This is so phony, you can just see right through. And this is David, I guess, in Battleground, Washington. Is that right?
That's correct, Rush. I'm a long-time listener, 30-plus years since I was a refugee prisoner of the University of California, Davis, and the People's Republic of Davis.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been on that campus. I barely got out of there.
Absolutely. Hey, great points on Rubio. I'm a Cruz guy, but I could easily pull the trigger for Rubio. I think the one thing he should have done in his debate with Christie is just to elaborate on the fact that he and Cruz, that Rubio and Cruz understand that Obama is nefarious, and it's not an issue of management. It's an issue of scope, of the scope and the reach and the breadth and the role of the federal government. And Rubio should have elaborated on that, as opposed to just reverting to those talking points.
Yeah, I mean, well, we could all make some suggestions in that regard. Like, had it been me, I hate doing this because when people do it.
Oh, no, it's so difficult.
Well, no, but I mean,
I just think that it would have been a good differentiator if Rubio, which would have pointed out, hey, you guys think it's a management problem. No, I think it's a scope problem. That Obama thinks that the government should control everything, but we think that we should have a limited government. And Rubio did a great job of explaining, what conservatism really is, I think.
Yeah, he did. Well, you're jumping my gun a little bit there, but he did have a great definition. He and Cruz, once again, had the best definitions of conservatism. I'm not sure Cruz even got the question. I'm not sure Cruz did not get the question, but Rubio, of the people that got it, was hands down Rubio. I mean, 1,000% best definition. But he could have also gone back at Christie and said, Chris, the reason you don't think Obama's doing it on purpose is because you've been working with him. He just, did not have the presence of mind to do it. Going back in hindsight, people did that to me on TV. We know what you should have said. Screw it, I'm quitting TV. To hell with this. The saga continues. A man, a legend, a way of life. You see this dust up here with Gloria Steinem, the head nag. By the way, for those of you new to the show, nags is our pet name for the Now Gang, national organization for what we call a National Association of Gals, the nags. And Gloria Steinem just she's so ticked off that women are abandoning Hillary. And so what is the natural thing for these women to do? They immediately become victims. Hillary's running around like a victim up in New Hampshire. Bill's running around like she's a victim of this mean dog, Bernie Sanders. And Gloria Steinem's running around like Hillary's some poor victim of the right-wing conspiracy. And then Madeleine Albright goes out there and says there's a special place in hell for women that don't support each other. Grab soundbites 13 and 14. That's what I'm talking about. This is Steinem on Friday night, HBO Real Time with Bill Maher. She has since tried to walk this back. But Maher said to her, young women really don't like Hillary. What do you think that's all about, Gloria?
She does have a huge gender gap and race gap. Women are more for her than men are. When you're young, you're thinking, you know, where are the boys? The boys are with Bernie.
After all of these years? Are you serious? Going back to the beginnings of the modern era of the feminazis, which would be 65, 67, 68, somewhere in there. I know, because it happened to coincide when I was becoming an adult. It's been one of the worst damn things about being alive in this era is what the feminazis did to women. Just messed things up like you can't believe it. It's still screwed up. Anyway, after all of these years of Gloria Steinem and the feminazis trying to rewrite history for women, after all of these years, the reason women are abandoning Hillary is boys? Yeah, because, you know, these young girls, they're just going to go where the guys are. And whatever the guys are, that's what the young girls are going to say they're interested in because they want to have a guy. Isn't it interesting how human nature doesn't change? Where 1960, Connie Francis, where the boys are. And here after 55, whatever it is, years, Gloria Steinem is admitting zero progress. And I can tell you what set them back. I can tell you, and I will in a minute. But here's Madeleine Albright. Madeleine Albright was in Concord, New Hampshire during a Hillary Clinton event. And this is what she said about this aspect of women not supporting Hillary.
You have to help. Hillary Clinton will always be there for you. And just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
And Hillary just started laughing. Oh, my, it's like she had a little drink with an umbrella in it, like she's so much fun when oh, man, she started laughing, and everybody started laughing, and Madeleine, but then... So wait a minute. Is that really what women are supposed to do, just be in solidarity with each other? Now, why is all this happening? Here's Gloria Steinem. Young women support Bernie because they want attention from the boys. Now, she's got a new book that she's plugging. And you know who she, by the way, Gloria Steinem, you know who she's dedicating the book to? She's dedicating her book to the doctor who performed an abortion on her in London when she was 22. You know what we ought to do? We ought to just start sending Gloria Steinem bags and bags of Doritos. Don't do it, folks. Don't do it. But why is this happening? I'm going to give you a partial answer to that question. They have made their own bed. They made their own bed in the 90s. And they got in that bed, and they have been forever corrupted. And there's nothing they can do to change it as long as the Clintons are prominent on the public stage. It is Bill Clinton who Ted Kennedy too, but Bill Clinton, modern era, turned feminism on its head. He was a serial abuser of women. And the feminist leaders of the day, Gloria Steinem and the rest of them, excused it. They looked the other way. When Hillary Clinton was accusing women of being bimbos, when the Clinton machine was trying to destroy women that Bill Clinton was serially abusing, out the window went the credibility of feminism. When James Carville was able to discredit Paula Jones by running around saying this is what you get when you wave a dollar bill through a trailer park, Gloria Steinem and her gang had no chance. The very people they claimed to be representing and standing up for, women who were being raped, women being abused, women being mistreated, women being sexually used and discarded, Bill Clinton, the poster boy, and every woman who came forward or wanted to was threatened and intimidated into silence. Bill Clinton's private life, They said in the Oval Office was none of our business. All that mattered was his policy position on abortion. So they sold their soul way back in the 1990s. They sold their soul to Bill Clinton in order to be true to liberalism. They sold their soul to Hillary Clinton. They allowed the very cause they claimed to be represented to be stomped all over and made a joke of by the two people they are trying to defend today, Bill and Hillary Clinton. Flash forward 20 years. Feminists are at war. Some, like Madame Albright, are shaming young women for not supporting Hillary. Others are shaming Hillary Clinton for being too moderate, for being in bed with Wall Street. Bill Clinton, sleeping around with dozens of women, was forgiven by the feminists, and the women who came forward were destroyed, mocked, laughed at, made fun of by the National Organization for Women. So we've got woman-on-woman fighting within the Democrat Party because Hillary Clinton's involved and because Bill Clinton is involved. Miss Steinem wants to know why she's having these problems. She needs look no further than the people she is promoting yet to this day. El Rushball back at it. Happy to be with you. Brand new week of broadcast excellence at 800-282-2882. Here's Carla in St. Paul, Minnesota. Hi, Carla. Great to have you with us.
Hi, Rush. I hope I don't have a brain freeze because this is the first time I'm getting through, and it's because any other time I've tried to get through, you always say exactly what I'm thinking. So I really want to know what you think about this. You asked at the beginning of the show that the establishment all of a sudden is going after Rubio, and why is that? It's not because of his repeating the same line. I think it has something to do with abortion. I think because he's unapologetically pro-life with no exception, because George Stephanopoulos was going after him on Sunday about that, and Jeb Bush put out a comment that he doesn't support any exceptions other than the life of the mother. So I wondered what you thought about that. And also I was yelling at the TV saying, when he kept saying the same thing over again, he could have said it differently. He could have said, this is what Rush meant when he said, I hope he fails. Had he failed,
yes.
Had he failed, he would have been a...
Look, see, this is the point. This is the point. Look, she's a Rubio fan. She's not abandoning the guy. She was frustrated for him. She wanted him to do better. She was upset that he whatever is having a brain freeze or whatever it was. But she's not abandoning the guy. Now, if you're just tuning in, I asked a question at the top of the program. Up until yesterday, the establishment seemingly had turned to Rubio. And in fact, this was alarming a lot of people. You know, the establishment all in for Jeb, but it just wasn't working. All the donors and all this, and Jeb just couldn't seem to rise above 5, 6, or 7 points. They don't want Cruz, too conservative. They don't want Trump, obviously. But they were going to go with Trump. But then Trump skipped and Trump didn't. And they did make a swerve toward Rubio. And then the news came out anyway that they were abandoning Rubio and looking for somewhere else to go. Donors, lobbyists, the Republican establishment. I asked why. Her answer on this call is because of his stand on abortion. The establishment cannot support Rubio because of that. And I have to tell you, when it came to the definition of conservatism and Rubio's stated position on life on Saturday night, they were both flawless. If you happen to be a mainstream Republican primary voter, both those answers, I mean, and her point is there's no way the establishment could support Rubio because there's no exceptions. And she may be right. That's not what I was thinking, but she may have a point. Time will tell. We're getting closer. We're out of time here for this segment. Hang on, though. Back in just a second. As is the usual case, we're out of time before I've gotten to everything. So I've got a stack I'm starting here, stuff I didn't get to today that I'll have tomorrow. Working hard to get it all in, folks. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Hang in there and be tough. 21 hours. Be here.